Sustainable Napier Committee meeting for the 18th of May 2023. Can we all stand up for our karakia, please? Te tawa mai roto,
Te tawa mai raro, te tawa mai roto, te tawa mai waho, kia tau ai te mauri tū, te mauri ora, ki te katoa, haumi e, hui e, tae ki e.
Just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Council Facebook page. Apologies I have so far are Councillor Taylor, Simpson and Crown. Moved by Deputy Mayor Brosnan, seconded by Councillor Tariha. All those in favour please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Do we have any conflicts of interest? No public forums. Any announcements by the Mayor?
Morena Kute, just wanting to give a shout out for our Napier Youth Council who are holding a quiz night tomorrow night to raise funds for a cyclone affected family. It's the Taradale Town Hall, starts at 6 p.m. sharp, so just issuing a challenge to people in the room and people who might be watching us online, get a team together and get along. It'll be a great night, and thank you to the Youth Council for organising it.
Thank you. I have no announcements. Do I have any notifications of minor matters not on the agenda? Announcements by management? No. Confirmations of minutes for Thursday 6th of April to be taken as a true and accurate record, please. Over mover. Councillor Mawson, seconded by Councillor Crystal. All those in favour please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Right, we'll move on to the agenda items. Item 1, Three Waters, and we're ready to go.
Cool. Morena, another 6 weeks has flown by, so we've got another update for you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like the council to receive the report as read, and I can show you some slides that may or may not be directly related to the report.
Tie them in for
us. Just some pictures here of the BTF pumps at the wastewater treatment plant. We, through some electrical resistance testing, found that some of the pumps have been damaged by the flood. They're mounted in the dry well, but obviously when they were submerged in water, some water has got into the motors, so they're away for repair at the moment. We recently undertook some smoke testing in Bayview, so this is just testing for cross connections between the stormwater and sewer systems. With a few potential cross connections have been discovered, so work to fix that is underway.
Can I just pull the speaker a little bit closer, please? Thank you.
So we undertook some inflow and infiltration investigations. This was the sensors were installed back in, I think, January. So we had a few events to measure against how our inflow and infiltration was. So you can see a trend there with the peaks, the big peak there being the cyclone in February, and a few smaller rain events either side. So this is just showing how the level and flow in the sewer is increasing during rain events. So you can see marked where the areas that were being monitored. So the areas in red being the worst, showing the worst inflow issues.
Can you just outline so the council will know what inflow and...
Yeah, it's where, so we've got basically rainwater either directly, either stormwater being directly connected into the wastewater system, or groundwater is infiltrating into the pipes through leaks, basically.
Yeah.
Can we ask a question? Do we have an understanding of what sort of percentage or distribution of that issue is in infiltration from groundwater versus through incorrectly attached pipe networks?
Through the chair, no, we don't really have a clear understanding of what percentage is one or the other. We haven't found directly a lot of direct connections, so it's suspected that a lot of it, or a majority, is through infiltration.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question too? Just because it's a little bit far away. The red areas, can you just say where they are?
All these areas are around Taradale.
Yeah.
So
So that's that Guppy Road around there.
I'm trying to.
Just is quite far away.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out myself. Yeah. That's the school, isn't it? So this is yeah.
Gloucester, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. I can get a copy of this report to you if you want to have a look up close.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it was, yeah.
Okay, if you send a copy out, that'll be good. So any other questions? We'll do questions as we go. So we're,
Behind Waterford School.
Councillor Brown.
It's the river down
Yeah, just interested in how far across the city we have this sort of monitoring. Is it everywhere now or just in those locations?
This through the chair. This was one investigation for looking specifically at Taradale, because we know there's some pretty serious issues that are affecting some of the pump stations and causing potential overflows and high wet weather events.
Yeah, so we look to target those areas, and the pump station run hours are first indicator to focus the team in a certain catchment, rather than you can spend a lot of money looking at catchments that are okay. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Through Mr. Chair, in the report it talks about hydrogen sulfide related collapses in the wastewater network. Can you explain where the hydrogen sulfide comes from, just for those of us that don't understand how that works?
It's through the chair. It's from the breakdown of the material. So it happens worse in places where there's long, where the sewage is retained for longer periods, so it has more time to break down, and it's especially bad where a pumped main goes into a gravity main. So it creates turbulence and causes a lot of the gas to come out of.
Is that bacteria causing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Just if we carry on through the photos and we ask questions on the photos, then we'll ask on the paper at the end. Otherwise, we're going to be jumping around too much. So carry on.
Cool. And just a nice segue into the trial we're running at, well, we've actually got this running continuously now, but we ran a trial on a alkali dosing system at the Bayview Patane pump station, because we were getting like really high levels of H2S at the airport because there's a long retention in that pipeline. And this trend just shows the results from that trial. We were peaking at up close to 500 parts per million, which is extreme, and that was the cause of the breakdown of the airport pump station. But this trend shows that over the first even few days of dosing alkali, it helps to keep the hydrogen sulfide in solution, and reduces that corrosive effect in all of the downstream network.
Through the chair, sorry mate, just on that. Oh, cool photo there. Video. So the alkaline dosing, would that help at the other end as well? So with our biotrickle filtering and stuff, our bacteria stuff?
I would call the bacteria. Sorry.
Through the chair, no, I wouldn't expect it to. Yeah, it's really around increasing the pH of the effluent at the front end of the catchment. It gives you the best effect across the whole network. But we are potentially investigating using that technology in other areas.
Carry on.
This is just a nice video Paul had of a heavy rain event. This is beneath Havelock Road. So we've got a catchment up the top of the hill, and this is just showing how much energy we can get if there's a lot of water and a big elevation change. So it's not causing a major issue, but we maybe look at some device or means of dissipating that energy before it's released. It's not ideal. Celebration. Our generators arrived, so we purchased 20-odd generators about, they must have been about a year ago that contract was all closed, and they sat on a wharf in France for a long time, and then they were on a boat for a long time. They went for a little journey around New Zealand to multiple ports, and they have arrived this week. So that's, a massive tick for our resilience. All of our stormwater pump stations will have fixed generators, and we'll have multiple transportable generators for our other water sites and sewer pump stations.
Very cool.
And that.
So do we, that's fantastic, having those generators, that's really good. Well travelled, but look new. Is there any questions on the paper that we've taken as read?
Just through you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor
What are the
Bowden.
pipes made of? Are they made of plastic or are they made of something else?
Through the chair, sorry, what?
Oh, sorry, what are our pipes made of?
Oh, we have pretty much all the materials. That depends generally on when they were installed, because in most of the modern pipes we would use a PVC, but we've got a lot of concrete and even earthenware baked clay pipes, which are very susceptible to the H2S.
Yeah, wise.
Thank you. Through the chair, just with regards to the wastewater treatment plant cyclone recovery works, phase 2, and a major component of that was actually getting our bio-trickling filters back online with a target date of July. Are we on track with that?
Through the chair, I believe we're still on target. We're hoping to have the industrial screens on within the coming weeks. So that's a big tick for the industrial users in Awatoto, and that is in parallel with the BTF being set up to at least run in a temporary fashion. So we're sort of rejigging some of the damaged equipment to work temporarily while we can source replacement.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, do I have a mover for the acceptance of this report? Councillor Mawson, seconded by Councillor Gregg. Do you wish to comment?
Yeah, just great work by the staff as always. Very comprehensive report. It's always good to know it's quite big for our community, our infrastructure. There's a lot of money invested in it, so yeah, quite good to hear it. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Anybody else wish to comment? Okay, all those in favour of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Item 2, capital program delivery. Jamie.
Yes, Sata Mario. I'll take the report as read. Just note a couple of matters that might have been of interest. First one is that at 31st of March, we're still about 4 million ahead of budget. So that's 39.1 million spend to date versus a 35.1 million budget. So that puts us on target for a 52 million spend for the year, but that's versus the 66 million budget we currently have. Might see a wee bit of a disconnect there, that we're ahead of budget, but we're not going to hit our target. The reason for that is, if you have a look on page 8, we've got a wee bit of a ski ramp in our final couple of months. So it's the budget holders, asset owners being a bit gung-ho. I think that we're going to make some real progress in those last couple of months. So yeah, hopefully we can get there. I think they say in sailing, coming home with a wet sail. So yeah, hopefully we can make that happen. So we're also investigating some project reporting initiatives. Russell and a couple of his team have been looking at some dashboards. So if you have a look on page 10 of the report, there's a couple of trial dashboards there. So the first one at the top of the page is a program of work. So that's a series of projects that, sort of are mixed or coordinated. In this respect, I think these ones look to be our old mega projects. That's our larger projects. And then you can drill down into that dashboard to individual project level. So it's pretty easy to read. The information there is it's a wee bit made up, so don't read too much into that. It's just to show that we can show this sort of level of detail. Of course, the challenge for council or the council officers will be to get that information into a system that we can then interrogate and report on. So that's an area we're working on at the moment as well. We're continuing to progress our project delivery initiatives. So yeah, there's a wee bit of work going on that in the background. So I'm just wondering if there's any questions on the report. Then I've got a couple of photos as well.
Just one from me, the capital spend. Has the cyclone, your ski field, has it made any difference to your ski field?
No, well, there's some resources are being put onto the recovery work, but most of these projects are underway now, and yeah, it's just a question of getting through the quantum of work before now and the end of the financial year. The indication is we're not quite going to get there. At the moment, the gradient of our spend is going to hit about 52. Whether or not we can get our skis out and go up that ski ramp, it'd be interesting to see.
Just through, Chair, just to add to that, we've got a bit of work with the activity managers with that very question in mind to give us a better finishing point on that budget estimate. So, yeah.
Okay, has anyone got your wise?
Thank you. Through the chair, just looking at the program project updates report, which just as an aside comment, fabulous to see so many greens in there. But just wondering, some of the line items don't actually include a figure in the current programmed budget. Is that because they don't have a current programmed budget?
No, it's no. It's just the fact that this list of projects is being reported on out of cycle, and that is our current challenge at the moment, to get the teams to be utilising cycle and also making sure that the right information goes into it. So, like the changing rooms, for instance, we've got from memory, there's a $300,000 budget that council will have, and I think there's another $300,000 being chipped in for that project. So yeah, we do have the budget there. For whatever reason, that information's not been pulled out of cycle, but I can look into that for next time.
Great, thank you. And just a follow-on question with regards to that training around cycle. I know that's been an area of focus, which is fantastic. And are you confident that we are beginning to make some progress in terms of the users of that and ensuring that we have the information in there we need?
Always confident, but we're also looking at other options as well. The issue with Cycle is that you're trying to get everybody on board is going to take a fair amount of time. So there could well be some sort of initiatives in the interim that can get us some quick wins to try and, like those dashboards, that those dashboards aren't coming from Cycle, they're coming from a different system. So it's, it's just trying to get those quick wins. Cycle's a bit of a long game, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
Thank you.
Sorry, yeah, I could add, yeah. So the thinking behind the improved reporting is to try and make it as agile and easy to get the data out of the teams and onto this forum. So it's, whilst we're having some connection issues with our financial data into Cycle, it's taking a bit too long to get that turnaround of information for the council. So that's the improvements Jamie has been talking about, that trying to get the reporting information timely to you guys and so you can get a clear understanding of where we're at.
Thank you.
Councillor Crystal.
Just through the chair, you mentioned the changing rooms at McLean Park. I note that they have to be finished by next weekend for the Warriors game. So are they on target? Is it?
I'm pretty sure they are.
Yeah.
They're trying to, the away rooms, we've got to make it pretty tough for the away teams. Don't we? Don't make it too
I know it's the
comfortable.
Aussies, but
They're really, really progressing well now. I've seen a couple of photos. I think, I'm confident we're going to get there.
Okay, Jamie, just from our last meeting, there was a question about shade sales at Ocean Spa. Are you able to update us on that?
Yes, so I did update everybody through the report. I'm not sure if you've got that, but from memory, there were some shade sails to be repaired initially in this first tranche of work at Ocean Spa, and I know that there is a sort of a shade study and further shade work to happen in the follow-up work, which I think is programmed for a couple of years' time.
just on that, if I may, we do have I understand we do have a shade policy which we'll need to adhere to.
Yeah, no, the guys will definitely be taking that into consideration, yep.
I'm aware you did send a report. It was just to mention at a meeting that what had happened. And I think it was Councillor Bogue that may have brought it up at the last meeting. Yeah,
there are another couple of questions about, from memory, Pukatichu Road with respect to the mission, and another one that slipped my mind.
I'm not here to put you to the test.
Always up for a test.
Thank you very much. So any other questions? Chair.
Kia ora. I was just wondering if you had any information under the projects going to tender, any information regarding the Riverside car park and pathways?
I know that it's one of our projects listed there. So that's one under currently progressing through the tender phase. I don't have the detail on where that's at, but I can get back to everybody on that. Make a little note.
Okay, and now I believe you've got some pictures for us.
Yes. Jason can probably.
Do you want to come up to a speaker, please? Otherwise, the people in the room won't hear you.
Kia ora, and through you, Mr. Chair, I believe that tender has been awarded for the civil works to, off the top of my mind, it may be top line contracting. And I'm unsure on exactly when the works are to begin, but it will be soon. I believe there's also a tender out for the playground development, which is separate to that contract.
Sorry, what's the location of that one?
Through you, Mr. Chair. The location of the new playground is at the opposite end from where the original was. So that is at the Murphy Road end of the Riverside Park. basically there will be an extension of the turning head at the end of that road, some additional car parking and some footpath connections as part of the playground development. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
At the next report, you'll see that tender move from where it's sitting there at the tender phase, that'll come into either the evaluation phase or the award area. So we sort of pick them up as they move through the process. It's all good. So a couple of photos. It's going to play ball. Space. Okay, so this is Napier War Memorial. I'm not sure if you've had a look down there, but there's a beautiful copper roof on that now, copper spouting. So it's really starting to progress. Guys are also doing the granite paving. I'm not sure if you had a chance to have a look at that, but yeah, it's most impressive. And I think the latest completion date is in June. So I did speak to the project manager. He's pretty gung-ho, thinks he can get there a bit quicker. But at the moment, we'll just report on June. Any questions on that? So Rangatira revetment, that's the old Whakariri Ave job. So the guys have done a lot of their site clearance work there. There's been quite a lot of liaison with the residents there. Historically, they've enjoyed access to our reserve, and there's been some clearance from areas that possibly the residents used to occupy and look upon as their own, but as actually council reserve. So we've tidied those areas up, and the guys are starting to get underway with the replacement of that old revetment there with the new rock. So there's all manner of trucks trundling around there at the moment. That material is coming from a quarry at Waimarama. So it's progressing well. You might have noticed there's some works at the Joel Wharf. So that poor old wharf was a wee bit tumbly downy. So they're in the progress of removing that and doing some work in there. So it's sort of the initial phase of that iron pot work, and they're looking to get that finished in July.
Looks quite.
So here's a project that's pretty much done and dusted. This is the Erickson Road, Kenny Road, so down near the new Somerset. Quite a few other developments coming on stream there, so it's a growth area for council down at Te Awa. So it was a pretty grunty job, just under 7 million. So a lot of infrastructure and roading gone in to support future development there. There's a wee bit of work still to complete. You'll notice the power poles on the left-hand side, so those were to be undergrounded by now, but following the cyclone, Unison took the opportunity to take all the cabling that was going to be for the undergrounding there for some of their emergency work, so that completion of that undergrounding is now sort of pushed out into about September. There's also some work at the Cowshed drain, so it's the big drain that runs west-east through Te Awa. We're doing some deepening work on that to take the new culverts for the upstream stormwater works that flow into the detention dam, so that's just getting underway now. Higgins were to get onto that, but of course their yard and a lot of their equipment were impacted during the cyclone, so they're just sort of getting back up to speed now.
Can I ask a question? Excuse me. Yeah. Thank you. Are there any cycle lanes planned for that section of road?
Any what, sorry?
Cycle lanes.
Yeah, so it's a good question, because originally there was on-road cycleways there, and all of the local residents sort of got up in the morning one day and you saw all the yellow lines painted down the road. So we've asked our roading team to look into that a bit more carefully to try and see if we can get some of those cycle lanes onto the footpath. It's a big wide footpath there. So that's the current intention, to use that as a shared footpath and free up some of the road for parking. But yeah, there's a cycle strategy being looked at in there. Yep. Don't know whether that's it or not. That's it. Look at that.
That's it. Is there any further questions? Councillor Brown?
Just with my ward councillor hat on the Joel Road project, do we know if we've got comms up locally around what the work is that's going on there?
I would say so. I don't personally know, but we always do, resident drops. There was some stuff on our website. We ask our contractors to do letter drops as well. I can check that for you, but I'll be surprised if there wasn't.
Oh, it's more there was a sign that was intended to go up, and I was just wondering
A
if the
sign for the project itself?
Yeah, just for people walking past, but I know it was planned, I'm just wondering if it's up yet.
Yeah, I know we
What's going to
talk.
happen?
That's, yeah. So I'd have to follow up on that. I haven't seen the site recently to confirm it. I see Julia she's got her hand up online.
You're on mute.
Are you on mute, Julia?
Sorry, everyone. Through you, the chair. Can you hear me?
Yes. Just.
There is a sign that's been produced and it will be installed in the next couple of days.
No.
Thank you.
It's answered. Any other questions?
Thank you, Julia.
Do I have a mover for, to receive this report, please? Councillor McGrath, seconded by Leah Wise. All those in favour, please. Oh, do you want to speak on it? Sorry.
Oh, just briefly.
Yeah.
I'd just like to congratulate the team that we are moving forward. It's been very challenging with the cyclone, but really, really good to see progress. Well done.
Thank you through the chair, and just to say, really pleased to see the focus on improving the reporting through to us. I really like the look of those new dashboards, so well done, and looking forward to future reports and further refinements.
Any other comments? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Item 3, Brian. Road stopping. There you go, Brian.
Good evening. So this item just seeks council's approval to initiate the road stopping process for part of Chiltern Road up on the hill there. It's only a small area. It has to be publicly notified, this process. So I guess the matters to be considered when, we're agreeing to road stopping is the impact on vehicle movement and pedestrian movement. In this case, I suggest there is none. The area we're talking about has never formed part of the formed road in the history of the road, probably 80 years. And in effect, by stopping it and allowing the owners of those two properties at number 2 and 3 Chiltern Road, it allows them to build a more functional garage and actually gets vehicles off the road. So, as I say, it has to be publicly notified. Our transportation team been involved with this and agree with this. So basically, bottom line, I'm saying there's no impact on any vehicle or pedestrian movement. The footpath's on the opposite side, the services are on the opposite side, the street lights are on the opposite side. So,
could you just, in layman terms, say what road stopping is?
Well, it's a legal process. Obviously, roads have been legally gazetted as roads. And there's obviously, going back to ancient times, is that right of citizens to, for vehicle and pedestrian movement on roads. So it's a right. And to take away that right, we have to go through this process either under the Local Government Act, in this case, or under the Public Works Act, and public notification, etc. So it's a legal process, and that we have to go through to protect citizens' rights to the use of footpaths, roads, etc.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay, do I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Mawson. Would you like to speak on that?
Oh, just to say, I suppose parking and road issues are pretty prevalent all over the hill, and anything that helps with mobility and getting cars off the road and allowing cyclists and pedestrians and cars to get through a road better and enable the locals or the landowners to use their land more efficiently sounds like a good process to me.
Councillor Mawson?
Nothing further to add, thank you.
Anybody else got any other comments? Okay, all those in favour of the officer's recommendation A, B and C, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Item 4, lease of reserved Park Island Napier Pirates Rugby and Sports Club Incorporated.
So this item seeks council's approval to grant a lease pursuant to the Reserves Act. So this is a Reserves Act matter to the Napier Pirate Rugby and Sports Club Incorporated, so that they can build a clubhouse and their share of a changing room facility at the northern sports hub of Park Island. So this proposed development is identified in the Park Island Master Plan. It's been floating around for a number of years, and by granting this ground lease now, it enables the club to get on with their fundraising, applying for any regulatory consents, etc. So just emphasise this is identified in the Park Island Master Plan. And once again, this has to be publicly notified. Excuse me. So I don't know whether Jason, I've got Jason here. He's been dealing with, we've both been dealing with the club. So if there's any further questions. So bottom line, the club will pay for their clubhouse and their share of the changing room block. Council will pay for its share of the changing room block, which is less than half of the area of the changing room block. So happy to answer any questions on that.
Councillor Bogue.
Yes, thank you, Brian, through you, Mr Chair. With the 15 years plus one right of renewal for the lease, is this, A, is the standard practice for that area, and B, does that mean that after 30 years they have to leave?
Number one, the 15 plus 15 is standard council practice for community groups on council reserve land. At the end of the 30 years, they would it would come back to council for a further lease. Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Brosnan.
Thank you, Brian. Now, I'm just trying to reconcile in my mind the earlier resolutions of committee around, in principle, allowing, supporting the lease, and that had some subject twos. For instance, I think it was final approval of the design in collaboration with our team. So, noting the resolutions today don't bring those forward, are you saying they're all satisfied? Are you asking us to accept that the conditions at committee have been satisfied and now we're entering into the lease? Can you just clarify that for me?
Yeah, I believe so. And Jason can add to this. So Jason, obviously on behalf of council, would have to approve the design, and all those specs and designs have been submitted to council, to Jason, including the actual design and detailed layout of the changing rooms. So I believe so, and also we have the requirement to submit the budget for council's share of the changing room and the field development. The instruction was that be submitted to the annual plan, 23-24. That's happened. We do recognise that that's still subject to a council resolution on the 8th of June, so we do recognise that.
Yeah, so just to clarify, that's what I think I'm having a little bit of trouble with. The conditions at committee seem not necessarily to be fully met yet, but are in the works to be met. So are we going to get ourselves in a situation where we approve the lease but may not have yet approved the development? Yeah, if you could help me understand that.
And through you, Mr. Chair, there is a bit of a chicken and egg process going on here. We're at the point of the process where the lease is required for Pirates to progress, but matters like appropriate building and resource consenting being granted can't be actually applied for until that lease has been approved. So we need to progress that to allow that. So the other matters such as detailed building design. So we are at a point where we do have a level of detailed design that is still going through to a point of being detailed enough for building consent, but I believe we've satisfied, for example, that condition. Financial estimates were provided as part of the annual plan process. Again, that is further and further refined as we get into the more detailed design. Again, chicken and egg, we provide enough detail to make sure that we're comfortable in our position and progressing with it. But to get to the point where we've got everything down to the dollar, you're talking about construction phase, and we can't obviously hold up a lease until that point because it would never get to that point. So Brian and I have worked through our way through those recommendations and the required conditions, and we believe that we've fulfilled them as far as possible to get to the point of presenting this lease to council.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, just so I'm paraphrasing from your perspective, there's little risk that we get to a point where we have a lease in place but aren't able to proceed with the actual construction. And I suppose my question is, that eventuality, is that covered off in your lease agreement?
Yes, and through you, Mr. Chair, I agree with that statement. Basically, matters like resource consent, we can obviously not put 100% certainty to, as you're aware, but they have been with the reserves team working with the consents team and our engineering approval team to ensure everything is done to make sure that process is as well tied up as possible to ensure that there isn't any hidden surprises, of course. So I believe that all practical steps are being made to make sure that we as a council are doing the right things, and that Pirates Rugby Club are also doing the right things to make this a successful project.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarity.
Yeah, I fully see your point. We actually discussed it quite a bit at pre-agenda because it's finding that point of, I think Jason said the chicken and egg. So yeah. Councillor Crystal.
Just in regards to the council changing rooms that are getting proposed to be built, are they just open to the public to be used? What's their purpose?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So basically as part of developments of fields, we provide council usually provides the away changing room facilities for the away clubs, rather than the club having to build two sets of facilities and have that large capital outlay. So we fund that, and at the moment we're using the NZRU guidelines and ensuring that these will be inclusive and open and following best practice, basically, which in the past we've learned to ensure that we're providing facilities for all of our communities. So I'm actually really looking forward to hopefully providing an example of how it should be done moving forward. So that's an exciting opportunity for this council.
Any other questions? I'm happy to move that from the chair, being a very keen rugby player, and seconded by Councillor McGrath. I haven't got a lot to say. We've had a few meetings over this. I think it's a great move. We did discuss also about linking this park with Tremaine Field, which has got a drain between it, but that is going to be tiled at some stage so that car parking can be used in this area over in Tremaine Field, because car parking, if you go down there on a Saturday morning, is not very good, and you've got to use other options like this for car parking rather than building specific car parks for 4 hours of sport on a Saturday morning. So the whole package is a good thing for the area. Councillor McGrath?
I absolutely agree, and it's great that the club's in a position to move forward finally. Clubs offer us so much as a community, and best of luck moving forward.
There we are.
It's a quick question. I was wondering if we've consulted with the locals, the residency, and had any feedback.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. The original master plan was consulted twice, once in 2013 with the original master plan, which showed a club rooms here, and pirates were engaged in that process, and that's how this has come about. A lot of those residents wouldn't have been there in 2013, being part of the Parklands development, but in 2019, I believe, our council approved a variation of that structure plan, and again, the public were consulted on that. As part of this next step, there will be a resource consent process and possible or likely liquor licensing processes that may or may not have consultation attached to it. But fundamentally, the agreement of this activity in this location has been consulted on at length over time and agreed to by previous councils. So I believe that yes is the answer. In regard to the specific development, I have not personally, as the reserves manager, undertaken any engagement in relation to this, but as specified, it is earmarked since 2013 that this activity will be in this location. Thank you.
Any further questions? So all of those in favour of the officer's recommendation A to F, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 5 is lease of reserved Latham Street Reserve, variation to Men's Shed Napier Trust leased. So that's...
Yeah, so once again, this is a Reserves Act matter where we're obviously seeking council's approval to grant a variation to the Men's Shed lease. So the Men's Shed's down Latham Street on the Latham Street Reserve, and they wish to extend their workshop area by 90 square metres, and that obviously triggers a variation to the lease. And once again, that would it requires public notification, because technically the Men's Shed is not a recreational activity on a recreation reserve. So once again, that requires public notification. Yeah, so happy to answer any questions on that. As I say, it's simply a Reserves Act matter.
Councillor Bowe.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is a really great community initiative, and I see cars outside probably 6 or 7 days a week sometimes. It's extremely popular. They're in quite a small space. But one of the issues which has been raised, which hasn't been resolved and may not be able to be resolved, is parking, because they have so many members there now, and this will enable them to, keep extending. I just wondered if there were any long-term suggestions or ideas about how to resolve the parking issue that seems to be growing there.
Yeah, Jason can answer that.
I'm happy to speak to that, and through you, Mr. Chair, thank you for that question, Councillor Bowe. Yes, we've been working with the Men's Shed on this. They currently park on the western side of their building on the grassed area that you would have seen, and have had issues over this very wet summer and winter we have had with cars getting stuck on that grass verge. We, as part of the original development here, we did pour a small concrete car parking area for them. The car parking area that they want or have ideally wished for as part of their expansion and their growing club, which again is a great success story for the community, will potentially cost the council between $150,000 and $200,000 for a sealed car park for their 80-odd members. So we've been trying to look at alternative solutions, maybe some low-impact solutions around things such as Jack's Mat or Gobi blocks, or just sorting out the drainage in that location so the grass area is suitable for them to park. Obviously, this is unplanned and unbudgeted capital improvement work, so we have to be careful. And as the Chair was saying before, building hard stand car parking at large costs and large renewal costs for one group, we must be very clear in our I suppose, decision making around that. There is a lot of on-street parking, but I do know that the club does request parking closer for moving tools, and given the age and demographic, they want to be close to their facility. So we are working with the club. We are looking at lower cost options within existing budgets. If that cannot be achieved, we may have to bring it back to this council to look at funding options. The other issue we've got is there is a large sewer main running right through the middle of that reserve as well. So we need to be cognizant of ensuring that whatever we do there does not have an impact on the Latham Street sewer main, because that is a charged sewer main and you wouldn't want a hole in that. I hope that's answered your question, but we are working on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Begg.
Through Mr. Chair, thank you. So I have a question. Is there any impact on local residents? I'm thinking specifically noise. If it's going to be a workshop, have there been any noise complaints, or are the locals fine with it?
No, I'm unaware of any noise complaints. But they wouldn't be working there at night. It's more a daytime type of thing. And it's not an industrial commercial workshop. They construct items for community projects. I mean, the big oversized seating at East Pier, those type of things. So it's not commercial, heavy, industrial workshop. It's really just sort of band saws and things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do I have any further questions? So could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Mawson, seconded by Councillor Crown.
Crystal.
Crystal. It's a trick question. Yes, Councillor Mawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brilliant, great stuff, fully support it. They did some brilliant work in the community, and looking forward to the expansion and what it looks like, and obviously things are growing there, which is great for our community. Thank you.
Councillor Crystal.
Yes, having been, we had a visit there and it was pretty cramped. So totally support the expansion. It's a great place for blokes to go and just be blokes.
Yeah.
Most of them told us they went there to escape their wives. Or vice versa.
A good sign that they're expanding then. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favour of the officer's recommendation A to D, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. I've now closed this meeting, and Future Napier will be opening their meeting in about 2 minutes. Thank you.